analyst Alexander Coven about the results that he found?
I have not.
Okay. And you are aware that warrants were taken out certainly before any of those GSR results were in, correct?
Correct.
Let's talk about tint. You've been preparing with the state. You know that the state has said that Mr. Stillwell had tint applied to his windows of that white Audi upon renting it, correct?
Correct.
In violation of the rental agreement, I may add.
Correct.
Okay. And this tint was applied on Flat Shoals Road, according to the district attorneys, at about 6:30 p.m.?
According to them, yes.
Okay. You were able to observe the white Audi on March 16th?
I did not walk. Wasn't that interested in it at that point, so I did not walk. It was very, very dark.
Have you seen the pictures that Miss Antoinette Green took of the white Audi after it was recovered when Mr. Stillwell was arrested?
I have.
Did you see any damage to the tint, specifically the front driver passenger tint on that car?
I did not.
Okay. Mr. Kokomo, if you could rewind again. No, actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Keep it here. Keep it here. Just play it. I'm sorry, Mr. Kokomo. Okay. You saw that car speed up behind Mr. Stillwell? Pause it, please. You saw
Yes.
that? Mr. Stillwell, you're aware that he, well, you've already stated this, he was victimized in the past. Someone shot through the rear windows, killing Tiara Jones.
Yes.
Okay. And now, that car that sped up is next to Mr. Drinks, correct? Or approaching Mr. Drinks?
It's approaching, but it stopped short of Mr. Drinks.
Okay. Mr. Kokomo, if you could please play it. Okay. So now there's a pause. So now there's one car next to Mr. Drinks, correct?
It's still not next to him. You could see from the angle that it looks like the front of the car. I'm sorry. The front of the car is like, from what I can see, looks like the front of the car. The front wheels are still towards the back of the vehicle. It's not exact with the car.
Okay. Mr. Kokomo, if you could please play. Pause. See that car make a U-turn?
I do.
Okay. What car was next to Mr. Drinks when that car suddenly made a U-turn?
Judging by how the lights are, that car still appears to be back a little bit, but next to it.
All right, so now you're making three-dimensional evaluations, but we can't see a muzzle flash off this.
A muzzle-
view.
Mr. Shardt, I'm going to explain to you. When you're, and I don't know if you're mischaracterizing it. When you go to the range, example, to fire your weapons at night, and there's a line of shooters, it's not bam, 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 lights everywhere. It's a very, very muted, if it shows. So this far away with this quality of video, I would not expect to see that.
Okay, well, let's talk about this car.
Sure.
This car makes a U-turn. Did you see, is there like a train that's crossing that would have let this person know, no, I need to find another route?
No.
Is there a officer saying, hey, turn around, you can't come this way?
No.
Is there an animal crossing the road that would have made this man do a U-turn?
No.
Who is this? Whose car is this that made the U-turn?
I don't know.
Okay. do you know if anyone ever tried to use these license plate readers to determine whose car that is so we could talk to them about why they made that sudden U-turn?
That would be part of Detective Hogan's investigation, but I do not.
Okay. Hypothetically, could that car made a sudden U-turn at that exact moment because they heard a loud bang?
Checks, Your Honor, be speculation, although she's an expert, she's not an expert in.
I'm gonna allow it.
That would be problematic based on the video.
That would be problematic based on the video. So you're telling us that you know that this person did not make a turn due to a loud bang?
If you're going off the loud bang theory, may I explain?
Yes.
If Mr. Kokomo can hit play, or rewind it back and hit play for a second. You're going to see there's a gentleman or some person walking here. They do not break stride. They do not flinch. They do not stop. They do not jump back. They continue walking towards your loud bang or your gunfire.
Well, actually, they disappear into the bushes, don't they?
It's not a bush. It's a shadow. And I went out there.
There's not trees right there? I've been out there too, miss.
Okay, I've been out there too, so they're like walking through, but they don't break stride, they don't jump, they don't run back, they don't run from the gunfire. So if it was gunfire enough to make a car stop, pull a U-turn in the middle of the road, that would certainly be, and using your theory, make a person get taken aback a little bit and run away.
So who's that person?
I went out there and canvassed. That's an area where it's there's a large homeless population. It's very transient, and there's also a Greyhound bus station right there.
So you didn't talk to this person?
I did
You're
not.
saying that they didn't break stride and all that. You've never talked to that person. You've never identified that person.
Could not. I tried.
Okay, but again, I'm going to ask you, and if your answer is really no, then that's fine. You're telling the jury that you, as the determiner of facts, have determined that that person did not make a turn because of a loud bang.
Consistent with the person walking that would be outside of a vehicle that had no reaction at all. That's what that would lead me to believe. And I didn't charge this case, so I'm not the determiner of facts.
All right, let's talk about something else while we got this video. Mr. Kokomo, if you could just play. I want you to pause for a second, Mr. Kokomo. I want you to pay real close attention to Mr. Drinks' car.
Okay.
His brake lights. And you see the other car pull up a little bit more?
Correct?
And you see the brake light go once, on and off?
Correct?
Okay. You're aware that Mr. Drinks was shot twice.
Correct?
Okay, and you're aware that the fatal shot was to the neck.
Correct?
Specifically, it was through the basilar part of the occipital skull.
I don't know that. I know it was in his neck.
Okay. And as an investigator, as the investigators you sit here today, did you find the brake light going on and off significant?
I saw the light going on and off, yes.
You don't find it significant?
I'm not a medical examiner, but
Okay. Cool. Have you spoken to the medical examiner in this case, Miss Dr. Melissa Sims Stanley?
no, I have not. I'm
Okay,
not the
and-
homicide investigator.
All right. Are you aware that Dr. Sims Stanley testified that upon being shot
Objection, Your
in
Honor.
that exact spot,
Hang on just a second.
Improper question with a lack of foundation. And she can't listen to the testimony to know what the doctor would have testified to. And she said she has not spoken to.
Overruled.
that the loss of any control over your body parts would be instantaneous,
Okay?
okay? And that if shot in that exact spot, no one would have the ability to lift their foot on and off the brake.
Okay?
Have you spoken to Dr. Stanley about that?
I've already said I have not.
Okay. Did you know that she called that a medical impossibility?
Objection, Your Honor, that's improper with a lack of foundation. For this was the speculation.
Those two objections are overruled.
Objection, facts not evidence of mischaracterization of her testimony.
That objection is also overruled.
So, how long had, and we can rewind it, Mr. Kokomo. I want to know how long after Mr. Stillwell in that white Audi had left Mr. Drinks, how much time passed between that moment and when Mr. Drinks' brake lights are going
A couple of
on
seconds.
and off? Well, we're gonna, Mr. Kokomo's gonna let us figure this out. Right now, that's Mr. Stillwell next to Mr. Drinks, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Stillwell's leaving now at 1:02:26. And the brake lights have now gone off at 1:02:45. 19 seconds to be exact, correct?
Sure.
All right. That car that was next to Mr. Drinks when the brake lights were going on and off is also the car that was next to Mr. Drinks when the car pulled a U-turn, correct?
I don't know if I would characterize it as on and off, like multiple times, but that was the car that was a little bit further back from his car, yes.
Okay, and that's the same car that was next to Mr. Drinks at the time of the U-turn, correct?
Staggered behind Mr. Drinks, yes.
Okay. Have we identified that car?
You keep asking me about the homicide investigation. Unfortunately, with APD, we're not allowed to be in, like, may I finish? I can't answer your questions about Detective Hogan's homicide in full.
So you don't know if anyone used LPR readers to determine the license plate of that car that was next to Mr.
You would
Drinks?
have to ask Detective Hogan.
Okay, and we don't know who the driver of that car is, do we?
You would have to ask Detective Hogan.
Okay. Has the headliner from that car that was next to Mr. Drinks, when the brake lights were going on and off, when the other car was doing a U-turn, has that headliner ever been collected?
You would have to ask Detective Hogan.
What are the gunshot residue test results from that car?
You would have to ask Detective Hogan.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
All right, it's a good time to